Hello everyone, welcome back to Batmania. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today Eric and I are going to tackle... Is that your Superman voice?
Batman, I was Superman.
I didn't even do my Batman voice. But welcome back to Batmania. I'm Batcab. And that's Super Eric. And anyway, Superman Batman Public Enemies is our movie for today. We're going to watch and talk about this. And I have not talked about, watched, or thought about this movie in a lot of years, so it'll be interesting to see what we have to say about this and what comes up as we're watching it. I have done a rewind on this, and that was a rewind where I said a really stupid thing that I spent years kind of like rethinking and like changed my whole kind of outlook on Batman, where I said Batman is not an idealist, and then I went, wait a minute, yeah, he is. Of course he is. But when you're comparing him to Superman, it's easy to have that moment where you go, yeah, Batman's not an idealist. And I think compared to Superman, Batman doesn't think he is. I think that's where I got off.
Well, there's a thing I saw once, I forget where this quote comes from, but it's that inside every cynic is an enraged idealist, and that's what Batman is compared to Superman.
That's great. I've never heard that.
I forget where I heard that.
That's great. Confucius say.
Yeah. So I've seen this more recently than you.
Oh, really?
Because I saw it for the first time just a couple of years ago.
Wow. Did you see it before or after Apocalypse?
I saw it before because I used to have this thing. I have it much less now, but like eventually things would wear me down. Where like I read the comic and hated it, so I wasn't going to watch this. And then I found a 2-pack with both of them for like $6 at Walmart, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Like eventually, I feel like I don't have this as much now, but when I was a little bit younger, like eventually I would feel the need to get around to comic book things, because I like comic book things. Why don't I watch them? And so I saw this a couple of years ago for the first time, liked it a lot. I remember seeing Apocalypse and not liking it.
And you're a real completionist kind of guy. It's hard to go, especially like as much as you know about DC and Marvel, it's difficult to go through your whole life and not go, I kind of want to see everything. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I have that.
Well,
and I know you have that with other things.
I have that with reading, too. Like, one day I will read Geoff Johns' Green Lantern, like, because I haven't.
Yeah.
I read up to Sinestro Corps a long time ago, didn't care for it, but I want to give it another chance, and I feel like it's such a foundational part of the DC universe at this point. Like, I need to read it. I'm supposed to have read it.
I feel like we're in a very different era now, and obviously we are, because... I mean, obviously, this is before 52 was even, in inkling, and before we had any sense that was going to happen, and it was during a period where Superman Batman had been a big thing, and I think that's fallen away to the point where a lot of people don't even know about it, and it doesn't get talked about, and it's kind of interesting.
Kind of rightly so.
It was a big Jeff Loeb thing, and and when you go back to it, it's goofy. It's Saturday morning cartoons, a lot of it.
And this works 100% better than the comic because it's not mainstream continuity, it's its own thing.
Yeah, which is what all those stories should have been.
The huge mistake that the Public Enemies comic made was, that is how we got rid of President Luthor.
Exactly, yeah. And I really like Search for Kryptonite in Superman Batman. It shouldn't be a mainstream story.
I only read Public Enemies, that's the only one I've read.
Oh, okay. I've read 4 or 5 of them. I own a few of the trades.
I think that might be all he did.
Yeah, but the series keeps going.
Yeah, the series does keep going.
And once it becomes more of an anthology thing, it's better. I mean, when people come in and out of it, there's some okay stories here and there, and that's one of the first things Cullen Bunn does. When I met Cullen Bunn, I bought his 2-part story right toward the end of Superman Batman, is at around 84, 85. I don't know if you knew that went that long. It went forever.
There was a guy that my mom knew through his wife, and he was big. Anytime my mom met anybody that was into geeky things, like she made sure that like I knew about them and met them and things like that. And he was a really cool guy. I only got to see him once or twice, but he handed me Superman Batman. Was like, you have to read this. Like, it's so good. Like, you get to see each other from their different perspectives.
Well, it's a lot. I mean, a lot of people have this with Jeff Loeb stuff, where it's just the novelty of it. There's a lot of idea over execution and style over substance, and he'll go to those real like big fanfic places that you wouldn't think comics would ever go, especially mainstream comics. And I think sometimes people would get won over. I mean, like, you know, people are entitled to their opinions, but sometimes I think people would get won over by an idea before the way it was executed.
It's far easier for me to accept Superman, Batman, robot in this animated film than it is that has to exist forever in DC continuity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Geoff Loeb should just write out continuity always.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, anyway, and we said that when we reviewed Long Halloween. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into this. If you want to watch it with us, get your DVD or Blu-ray, however you want to watch it. Sometimes this is streaming places, sometimes it's not. I don't think it is anywhere right now.
I'm not sure.
Nothing I know about. So anyway, you
can pick it up for cheap.
You might watch this
the 2-pack for
cheap.
After
the fact, and then it might show up because these things pop in and out all over the place. Yeah, and this is one of those that also I think they put out with the comic book.
Yes. I think
there were a few of those. I did recently end up with the trade for this. I think somebody gave it to me, and I've still never actually read this. The original
this is
story.
Better.
I have I know that the flavor of that stuff because I've read quite a bit of it, but but that particular story I don't think I've sat and read, which is weird because. You'd think I would have looked at it just because it's the end of President Lax, but this is the only way I've ever consumed that. So anyway, if you want to watch it with us, get past all the menus, get it to timestamp 0, and get ready to press play as soon as I say now, here we go!
Here we go!
Here we go! Everybody please press play right now. We'll have an hour and 6 minutes of Batman and Superman action.
Nice.
Or I should say Superman and Batman action.
Warner Premiere.
So, like I said, this seems like kind of an odd thing to adapt now. I don't think it was then. I think...
no, this was a big book.
One of the reasons... Yeah, and I think one of the reasons we did this was because President Lex was kind of a big deal when it happened, and they probably wanted to adapt something with it.
Mm-hmm.
I might have just worked... honestly, I might have just worked President Lex into Superman Doomsday.
But... Well, yeah, I guess maybe you're right.
They did so much. I mean, they changed so much, and they made that a totally different story. Like, why not?
Yeah, no, you're right. Tent lot. Get your tents here. This is not a good place.
What happened?
Things look bad. Who
is that supposed to be? Is
John
that supposed
Stewart,
to be
right?
John Stewart? Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's Conan O'Brien doing the voice.
Oh, is it?
Sounds like it to me.
So, at this point, the animation style continued to look more like Bruce Timmverse, no matter what they were doing with it.
I think this is one of their most successful off-the-page kind of...
I think so, too, but you can see that a lot of those animators are still around.
Yeah. Who's the artist?
I don't remember.
Ed McGuinness.
Oh, okay.
Who I generally don't like. I think he draws a little too muscly, but I see the appeal.
The faces are too cartoony.
Yeah.
But again, this stuff was popular because it was so splashy.
Mm-hmm.
That camera move was really weird. I don't know why we did that. I don't know why we were like, let's start at this Secret Service guy, and then we'll pan over and stop at this Secret Service guy. This is not a movie I know very well.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly couldn't have told you what other superheroes were in this.
Okay, so, well, here's the thing that's weird. So Geoff Loeb always
Now
writes...
I'm suddenly remembering things I said about, what's her face?
Power Girl?
Power Girl. That is Power Girl. Yeah, I was about to say that, but...
There's this... Like, Geoff Loeb writes for his artist. What do you want to draw, and I'm going to write it. And so, like, you get the things where, like, the Batman stories have all of the Batman villains and things like that, right? Did Ed McGuinness show up and say, all right, I want to draw Major Force, I want to draw Captain Atom, I want to draw, was it Shriek, Banshee, who's that villain? Like, the picks are really weird. And I want to say...
Were they the picks in the comic?
Yes.
That's really strange.
And I want to say...
Because since this, we take a lot of liberties where we just like to throw in characters we haven't used in a long time or ever.
I want to say...
I would have thought this was a weird hand-picked...
That we...
I forgot this was Tim Daly and those guys again.
Yeah, it's another one of those... I do think
in this case it's kind of okay that we went back to those guys. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Well, it's another one of those... Like, we will do this every single time.
And Clancy Brown is one of the best Lexes.
Yeah, well, and getting him back, I think this is the first time he'd done this since Justice League, but, like... I don't like, I love, can't think of Batman's name.
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. I love Kevin Conroy, but, like, we have to stop acting like it's a big deal that we got him back. Because he's in, like, I'm going to say probably like 50% of these animated films. He's in the current cartoon show.
Yeah, but this is the first time they did it. Well, no, because Gotham Knight. But
he just did Gotham Knight, and Arkham's coming out.
Well, that's true, yeah.
No, it has never been special.
No, and that's totally fair. I'm just saying, I can kind of see why in doing a Batman-Superman crossover thing, they would decide to kind of stick with what has worked before instead of having to recast both of them.
Sure.
I guess.
No,
I think it makes more sense here than it did with Gotham Knight.
And it's a big deal for Tim Daly, because this is his first return, I believe, because he doesn't voice Justice League.
Yeah.
So I think this might be the first time since the animated series that he comes back.
Oh, yeah. It's not him in Justice League, is it?
Yeah. He was doing that TV show.
I always forget about that. The guy they got was so close.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I remember him being not that far removed from what Daly did.
I think it's in the vein.
People know that show better than I do, and I've never seen every episode, which is crazy. But
yeah, I just... going back, I think it's such a weird...
There are no cars on this street!
The pics are weird for both the heroes and villains in this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, it's a thing where, like, if we go back and, like, look at the comics, like, oh no, of course you picked these. These were big characters at the time. Power Girl, as far as I'm aware... doesn't really get big until around Infinite Crisis when we decide to make her, because she's
honestly,
character.
I didn't know she was ever a big deal anywhere because I haven't read Infinite Crisis in a long time. But
she's kind of the pivotal character.
I think that's one of the things that makes Superman Batman feel like it's out of continuity. Like I always have to remind myself that stuff's supposed to count, and we like to ignore it everywhere because it's hard to integrate with anything.
Yeah. And of course, the series that followed Infinite Crisis, there's Power Girl series that is beloved.
And if memory serves, this movie has that hero kid that makes the big giant robot. And,
is
that in Apocalypse?
I think that's in Apocalypse because the kid that makes the giant robot is the Superman villain with the
Toyman.
Toyman. Yeah, it's
but
Toyman.
It's not a bad guy. His name is Hero. Yeah, that's this movie, is it not?
Okay. Then yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't belong in Apocalypse. I'm almost sure that's here.
I just didn't realize that it was. But you're right. It is a small kid because they use Power Girl Distracted.
Yeah, it's a different Toyman. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that villain. It's a different Toyman. They have two Toymans.
But I also don't know if he.
And the reason I bring him up is because I don't know if he shows up anywhere else ever. Like it always feels like a product of this, and it's only him.
I want to say he first appears here. I want to say at some point I looked into it. and I'm like, wait, he starts here.
But I will say this. I think this is better than Apocalypse, and I know you don't like Apocalypse, and I liked it.
I only saw both these
a little better. When I did the rewind, I found some cool stuff to talk about, but it ultimately fails on a lot of levels. I would not have minded this as a continuity to keep going. I kind of like the idea of adapting some of his ideas and trying to make them better on screen. It is a fun, flashy thing, and I think that was already starting to be kind of missing in a lot of superhero stuff. So we can use some colorful, fun superhero stuff, even if it is talking about heavier issues and going to darker places. And there are stories from that I would have liked to have seen animated, like Search for Kryptonite. You know, I think it would be kind of interesting to do that story.
And do you know who voices Power Girl?
No, I don't. No, not right off. I forget.
Is Allison Mack.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Who would have been a great pick for a live-action Power Girl.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever knew that, honestly.
I mean, acting-wise.
Yeah, sure. I just don't want to get into that.
It's so weird! Why is it coming now?
That's a great question. That seems like a Smallville thing. At this point, honestly, I'm used to just kryptonite randomly falling out of the sky. Oh, yeah. This has the bizarre Lex Waller kiss. You remember that?
Yep. It's really weird.
That was a weird choice. And that's one of those things where it seems like they're just doing weird, out there adult things for the sake of getting a PG-13 rating.
Well, that is in the comic.
Is it?
It is in the comic.
Like I said, I've never read that.
It's weird in the comic, too.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't complain as much if it's in the comic, I guess.
Yeah. No. That was in the comic too, and I don't know why it's there either. Like in the comic, it is just as weird, and like I don't know what he's doing or why he's doing it.
So you said this is better than the comic. Like why specifically?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I just know that there's a couple of plot points that are a little bit neater.
They from everything I did know about this and stuff you're saying, it seems like it's adapted pretty straight.
I think some of the plot points are a little bit neater. I want to say probably the dialogue's a little bit better. I'm not exactly... I knew these things when I first watched it. I'm like, oh, this is way better than the comic. It's been a long time since I read the comic. And also, there's something else. Well, and putting it out of continuity helps, but there was something else that was... Oh, it doesn't randomly have a Superman from the future showing up in the middle of it, which the original comic has.
Wow, that's weird.
Which...
I may go ahead and read that after this and maybe do a review on the omnibus.
I think is the first of the lead up to Infinite Crisis, because we seeded that for years before we did it, and I think it's Infinite Crisis Superman that shows up in the middle of that for no reason.
One thing I do think we can give this is that it's material that you can easily put into a movie without it getting too truncated.
Yeah.
I think this was a good choice as far as the format and the length goes.
Yeah. It is weird, though, that we did this, and we have never done Hush or Long Halloween. Now, those are much harder stories to tell in a truncated format. But
Hush, less so.
Yeah, you can cut a lot out of Hush, and it's basically still the same story. You can get the Superman stuff
Long Halloween
together.
would have to be two. I don't see how you do that in one. Well, I say that you'd have to change
a lot.
You'd have to change a lot about it. You'd almost have to give it a different title. But if that movie, if you made a movie of that and it didn't take place over as much time and it wasn't about the holiday killings, you might say, well, how's it Long Halloween then? But like, if you made it a similar mystery, and there was a serial killer, and maybe it was about Halloween, but not all the other holidays or something.
Well, they're calling it Long Halloween in the book before. It's not like they call it because it's Halloween to Halloween. Like, that's why the book is called that, but in the book they're calling it by, like, Newton. It
could just be, it happened on Halloween, the guy keeps killing, and we can't solve it. But I'm just saying, like, I think you actually could, because our big complaint about that about that book is it's way too long, it's really decompressed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not even decompressed, it's padded.
I do like this as a conundrum for Superman. Is that the man with the most power, like, the man that makes the laws that Superman upholds, is Lex Luthor. Like, that's a good... I can't remember if he's the crazy Metallo from the comics, because the Metallo from the comics, like, all of a sudden, like, has a lot of robot and has, like, a dump truck arm. And I can't remember if he has a dump truck arm in this, but he totally does in the comic, and they totally made an action figure of it. It's awesome.
But no, you're right. Like how can you hold up your ideals if you're Superman and have such a relatively black and white attitude when your greatest enemy and kind of the world's biggest thug is running everything?
And how can you still stand for the values of America if America's values allowed such a person to be in power?
Well, and are no longer in line with the values that made you who you are, and you basically have to take the American way part out at that point.
Yeah, which I think we have done for years. But
yeah, sure.
I still think of it as a core of the character.
I don't think Superman has. I think we've taken it out of his dialogue.
Yeah.
But I think at the heart of that character, it's still at least traditional American values in the sense of...
He's a kid that grew up in Kansas.
Yeah, in the sense of, like, he believes in the American dream even if America doesn't believe in the American dream, you know?
Okay, he's got...
Everybody has a fair shake.
He's got a chainsaw, he's got a hammer.
So right now he's just a modern Megazord, right?
Yeah.
He's just all about the power tools.
I'll have to show you after. I'll have to pull up the page. Although maybe it's not till later when... doesn't he, like, dig up a grave or something?
Yes.
Does he have a big dump truck arm there where he's digging it up?
I don't remember.
We'll see.
So I gotta say, I think I'm enjoying this animation more than I have before because...
It's so big and splashy.
Well, I was gonna say, because I don't like what what the new direct-to-video movies have looked like, and this is a breath of fresh air. This feels real classic in comparison.
Yeah. I am surprised we have. I guess it is called Superman Batman, and I guess we're not exactly in the second wave of Batman fever yet when we're making this. We are when it comes out, but not when we're making it.
Right, because this is shortly after Dark Knight.
Batman's barely been in this so far, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think...
Yeah, tombstone to the face.
But, like, again, I haven't read it. The book is probably like that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is all about President Lex, and we're in Metropolis right now, like, there's just not any reason for Batman to be that involved yet.
The book has a weird opening where it's them talking about each other, internal monologue.
Oh, okay.
Where, like, you see how Batman thinks about Superman and how Superman thinks about Batman. That sounds like that hurts, but you're a robot. You don't feel pain. You can say you're a cyborg all you want. Your body's entirely metal.
Well, and this does kind of open with a sense of, you know, they kind of get along the best they can, but there is animosity between them.
Yeah, I like a Batman and Superman that disagree, maybe even fundamentally, but are still able to be friends.
Yeah.
I also think it's just an important thing to have, that these two people can be very different and still...
Well, how many...
he went straight to Kryptonite Bullet. Maybe Batman's not so smart.
I mean, like, how many romantic couples are that way? Where they're about the same ends, but they come to it from entirely different places. That's the opposites attract thing, but importantly, not complete polar opposites. It's not Batman and the Joker. Batman and Superman are opposites in a very, very different way, where... At the end of the day, they both want justice, but they can't agree on the best way to get there, and they have different initial MOs. And they come at it from entirely different places.
Yeah.
It's really cool the way in which Batman and Superman are accidentally foils for each other. You know, like, there's so much inherently about them that are exact polar opposite, and they were not necessarily planned that way from their inception.
There's a dump
he does have a
arm.
dump truck arm. That's amazing. Like, the idea that Batman comes completely out of tragedy and wasn't raised in a traditional nuclear household, and Superman was, not planned, but just works perfectly.
I really appreciate how long they held on that black screen. Like, there really is a sense of, like, is the movie over?
This should pace pretty well.
Yeah.
So far. And like I said, I really like what it looks like.
He's walking with his hands in his pockets like he's just a normal guy. He's not a normal guy, he's a robot.
I questioned the lines on the faces when I first saw this, and maybe even in the rewind. It's not bugging me now like it has before. I think some of that is just being used to the simple kind of chiseled look, the kind of square look from the DCAU.
Could that scene be any more Geoff Loeb? He just turns, sees a figure in shadow, and goes, "Oh, it's you." I think.
Oh, you just mean it like teasing us?
Yeah. And it's a mystery.
You're so right about that.
It's clearly Major Force.
And then who watching this is going to be surprised or excited when they find out it's Major Force?
He killed Kyle Rayner's girlfriend. I don't know if you know that. He is the one who puts the girlfriend in the fridge.
But people who are watching this and don't know comic books... Now, would you say this is a thing...
I mean, that's the only thing I know about Major Force.
Would you say that this is a thing that inherently, because of, like, the political aspects of it and the moral and ethical conundrums that this is like inherently an adult story that probably should be a PG-13
No, because
thing?
I feel like we did things like this on... Yes and no. I feel like we did things like this on Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
But Justice League and Justice League Unlimited is oftentimes very much fighting its hardest back against the censors to be able to tell the stories they want to tell.
Sure, yeah.
Here they have the freedom to actually tell the story they want to tell.
I don't know that this story
I don't know if it
has
needs...
to have anything that would make it so that my kids couldn't watch it.
Does it have anything like that?
I don't remember, but I'm just saying, like I don't know.
Especially with this animation, this feels like this should be okay for kids.
It does, yeah.
I also think it's weird that the grave connects to the sewers. That's weird.
That is kind of weird.
Did Batman dig through the grave? Hey, it's Alfred with a gun. Before we always did Alfred with a gun.
Yeah, we do it all the time now.
It's like rubber bullets or something. You know, we never specify that with Alfred. Alfred's always got a gun. Why don't we ever specify, like, well, he's got rubber bullets. Like, he's going to protect the home, but he's also not going to... Although he's a soldier, he probably doesn't care, but...
Yeah, that's always been my thing about that. Well, and I like Alfred being more okay with guns than Batman, because for Batman, it's never been no one should have one. It's always me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really weird. So the Batcave has this platform that is almost shaped like the Superman crest, and that's really, really strange to me. Do you see that?
I did
in
not.
In the wide shot, it's shaped like the Superman crest. It's rounded at the top, but it's still kind of weird.
It's got that seemingly needlessly perilous Batcave kind of design, like the Lego Batman.
At least it has
games.
railings.
Yeah, it's true. Unlike the Lego Batman game.
Do you think you could make a compelling movie like this about Lex becoming president in the first place? Because I kind of think you could do that movie.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Unless it is part of, like, a two-part
larger
film. Yeah.
Or a larger
you
universe?
You can't do the Lex becoming president as a standalone film.
Well, that's the problem with doing the death of Superman in a world where we haven't even established our Superman. Like,
because it has to either end with Lex not becoming president or becoming president. And if he's stopped, then you're not really doing an interesting President Lex. And if he's not stopped, you just left your world with Lex Luthor.
Could you make it a first act plot point, and maybe have like some time pass in the interim, and then tell a story? Or
yeah, maybe.
You could maybe do that.
But
I'm saying it feels like they really want to do
trilogy.
a story about President Lex, and this was all they felt like they had to work with that would make for a sellable movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true, but it's always been the sense I've gotten from it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a checkbox, like one of the big checkboxes, where it's like, we want to do that Superman that's really popular.
This is coming back,
Lex
right?
Is the president,
like, it hasn't
popular.
happened yet, but, like, Lex will be president again.
I hope so.
Well, I don't know if Bendis will go there. But on the trajectory that they were going of recycling stuff...
That might not be a Bendis choice, though. That might be a Geoff Johns choice, because Geoff Johns has been pushing, and I know he hasn't been writing a whole lot lately, but we have continued with this Lex is a pseudo-good guy thing, and we have a Lex in the comics right now who, I mean... I didn't read Trial of Lex Luthor. I didn't in some of the stuff after that, so I don't know what we're doing with him right now, or if he's even still wearing a Superman suit. But, and of course, I'm majorly dating this commentary right now, but it's Batmania. But I feel like at least last time I checked in with Lex and Superman stuff, we had a world that would accept that faster, and also, given the current presidential administration, I can't imagine that hasn't at least been talked about there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't you think? And I never bring this up on the channel, but I'll just go as far as to say, who that's in the comics didn't immediately think President Lex when that happened?
Yeah. And then DC went, oh, we already did that! We can't do it again! We wasted our chance!
Yeah. There was something really cartoonish about this. I think it's because it's too far up on it to his face. He's just like, "Hey, Power Girl, I'm this sophisticated. Look how sophisticated I am."
I like this idea. I think maybe this sells. I think maybe the big thing about this, and it's been a while since I read the book and seen this movie. But I feel like the big thing I remembered about this was I buy his change more, because in the comic he is a completely together evil person who just all of a sudden is like, I'm gonna get a mech suit and I'm gonna go fight Batman and Superman
out of nowhere. Yeah.
I feel like it tracks a little bit better in this.
I don't remember how I felt about that. Obviously, this movie didn't stick with me super well.
And I only watched it the one time, but I remember enjoying it.
And I don't think I'd seen it more than once before I did the rewind.
This isn't one that's really stuck around in the public consciousness like some of the other animations have.
I mean, it's not a public enemy either. I don't think people hate this movie. But
No. It's just forgotten. But I have discovered a lot of people know Under the Red Hood. It really has permeated. If you like comics, if you like superhero stuff really at all, beyond the films in any way, you have seen Under the Red Hood.
Well, and Under the Red Hood is, of course, and I wish more of this had happened since then, but that is the biggest example that makes me a proponent of the idea that we should be adapting stories that didn't quite work in the comics. Where you started with an idea with potential, and then you try to improve on it, and that's why they should have done things like this. Like, I really approve of the choice of adapting this material, regardless of how it worked out. The Apocalypse, I don't know, it feels like that was just an excuse to do a Supergirl movie, and then why don't you just make a Supergirl movie, but... And yeah, I get it, it's because at this point they felt like they had to have Batman or Superman in the title. That's a gag we do a lot. I mean, I guess we didn't really play it for... Yeah, Silver Banshee. Not Shriek. That's Spider-Man.
You're right.
Silver Banshee. I've always liked Silver Banshee. She's kind of become more of a Supergirl villain than anything now. But,
is that Killer Frost? I think it's Killer Frost.
Which would have been the first time I ever saw her in anything. I didn't even know that character existed before this. Wow, that looks really good.
Did you have Who's Who when you were a kid?
No, in fact, I didn't know about that until I got on eBay.
A lot of, things that I know...
Mr. Freeze is weird!
Yeah. A lot... She looks almost anorexic.
Look at his
face.
She's
way too skinny.
And look, he has no face.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But I like Killer Frost. Yeah, I like all the Frost characters together. That's cool. Is that in the book?
I think so.
Okay. It's a cool idea. I mean, it's obvious, but we never do that.
Actually, that is the opening of Young Justice, kind of.
Oh, okay.
And is a plot thread throughout Young Justice.
I always say that. We never do that. I've not seen that, okay?
A lot of weird stuff that stuck with me that I know comes from having Who's Who as a kid. Do you know who Geoforce is? Because I know who Geoforce is, because I had Who's Who when I was a kid. And I feel like they don't make those books because they seem pointless because Wikipedia exists, but you get exposed to so much of the DC universe going through that stuff. But yeah, that's where I know a lot of... I think that's probably the first time I kind of Killer Frost.
You know, I do admire that this movie has already brought up a pretty interesting moral quandary, as you were discussing earlier, and, you know, has me kind of thinking a little bit about the, you know, ethics of vigilantism and who's above the law, and I mean, you know, if anyone was above the law, especially, you know, in a world where Lex Luthor is running things, but where at the same time, as I'm thinking about all that stuff, you have this just big fun dumb action.
I question the choice of Mongol.
Yeah.
He seems way too powerful to bring in on this, right?
But like with those, just real quick, with those ideas, you wouldn't expect this movie to be as much fun as it is. And I admire that a lot.
Well, and I think that's probably what people latch on to with most Jeff Loeb works.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it works a little
bit better.
But
then it's disappointing because they end up not being as thoughtful as the initial idea is.
Yeah. But yeah, Mongol's weird, right?
What do you need with money, Mongol?
Like, Mongol's...
Superman just explained why he's a bad choice. Oh, there's Grundy, too. I don't know why he's here.
But I also think he's more powerful. Like, it's not exactly like if, like, we did, like, a Spider-Man movie, like a Spider-Man, Iron Man movie, like, all of a sudden Thanos was, like, running around working for someone, but it's not far from that.
Loeb did have this big thing of just pick the last random person you'd ever expect and then throw them all on a team together. And just characters you haven't seen in a long time. And I think he did it to get kind of brownie points where it was like, oh, look I thought of Shiva. Yeah. Like, what is she doing? That's the last person you would expect to show up in this.
I know she's an assassin working for money.
Yeah.
She tracks better than Grundy and Mongol.
But you wouldn't have expected her after all those other characters you just saw.
That's true.
If this was just a bunch of hired guns, they're like regular hired guns. I think another reason they adapted this was to put characters on screen they'd never put on screen before.
Well, except...
Or rarely.
Yeah, I mean, Mongol's in Justice League.
Yeah, but Shiva and that
Is Shiva
girl,
not in Batman at all?
I don't think so.
That's interesting.
I don't think so. Now, Grodd they used constantly.
Yeah.
But nobody used Grodd more than Brave and the Bold. They were really obsessed with monkey jokes in that show.
Were they?
Oh, they loved it, yeah. God, it seemed like every third episode was a Grodd episode.
They had a lot of monkey jokes to burn through.
I know that's not true, but it felt that way. Like, there was a lot of Grodd in that show.
Oh, okay, okay. Here's why what we've seen makes sense, but then doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So the reveal is that Grodd was controlling them.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Okay, here's the problem.
I feel like I'm watching this, like, for the first time.
Mongold. He's
Yeah.
a spaceman.
Was he just...
Hanging out on Earth?
Come to Earth for a
Was
soda?
Black
Like, yep. And there's Giganta.
Ooh, that's really cool. Okay, so that Deadshot...
Deadshot, yep.
Is the Deadshot from the Deadshot miniseries written by Christos Gage, and I don't think he has that costume anywhere outside of that.
Oh,
so that's a
interesting.
really cool design choice.
I don't think all these characters are in the book. I haven't read that, but I seem to remember when this came out, reading or watching something that was like, we put these other characters in this, but I might be wrong about that. I don't know.
So there's a purple guy here.
Okay, this is going on too long.
Yeah.
And it really does just... and there's Bane!
But he doesn't... his mouth is covered!
Yeah.
Is that the only time we've ever done him with his mouth covered?
Before Rises?
I mean, when we animate him, we always have to put the mouth.
Yeah.
In some way or another. His mouth was closed. That's amazing. 100% approve of this movie. Bane has his mouth covered.
And wasn't Giganta originally a Super Friends character?
I don't think so.
I thought she started there. I might be wrong.
Okay, so there was a guy there who's purple and has a fin on his head and a third eye. I'm blanking what that guy's name is. I want to say it's like Eclipso or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. He is this weird character who I was, as a child, convinced was like a major... There's Starfire for some reason. Was she part of the team in the initial announcement at the beginning of the movie? I don't think so. But he's this guy who I thought was a major Justice League villain because he was in this Justice League coloring book I had as a kid.
Oh.
And he was. In the first, like, 100 issues of Justice League, he shows up a bunch, and it's really important. It's treated like a big, imposing threat.
Wow.
And then never again. I keep waiting for someone to, like, grab him and be like, okay, this is gonna be... Because the Justice League doesn't have a lot of, like, distinct villains of their own. Like, someone needs to take him and make him, like, their Kang, or something. And he just seems to show up, and he's like a big brute, and then they beat him up. Even in the Justice League cartoon, he gets an episode where he's just like a brute. I don't understand. Also, he's from space. Had Lex Luthor get a hold of him. Much like Mongol. Why do some of these people care?
That's a really good question.
Like, it's cool to see Black Manta, but why does Black Manta care? I guess he's getting paid, but...
And I think putting Waller and Luthor together is inherently interesting.
Yeah.
Because Waller is ultimately... She thinks anyway about the greater good, but she's of course terrifying because she'll do anything to get there. And Lex is out for himself. But often in his mind, the greater good, like, I'm the only person that can that can do this, and kind of that Mojo Jojo thing of, if you just lived in my world the way I want it to be, it would be great.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I like the choice of Power Girl, not just because I really like Power Girl, but also I like the choice of Power Girl as the one on the other side that's kind of morally not sure about this and will be the one that turns because she's got Superman DNA, because she's an alternate universe Supergirl. Like, I think that's a nice choice, is that it is someone that is kind of linked to Superman. And she's all about trying to live up to Superman. So when she is on the opposite ends of Superman, like, there's something wrong for her and she knows it. And so I think she was actually, of all of these randomly chosen characters,
that feels
she's
a little bit less random.
Yeah, she's a really smart choice.
Although, do we get any of that background, dude? Like,
probably not.
You probably don't even know that unless you read the... And that's one of the things I hate about a lot of these movies is this feels like it's cemented in a universe that we've not seen anything else from, but we don't make these things canonical with comic books, so this is the first thing in this particular DC universe, and that's weird. This is not accessible, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I kind of like that.
Of course you like that.
No. I don't mean that's not accessible, but like that you just kind of get thrown into the universe, and like I think people could respond to that.
Yeah, but there's certain explanations that need to happen that don't.
Power Girl probably is a big one. I don't know if we get a backstory for her. Although at this point, I'm not sure Power Girl had a backstory because she doesn't really get one until Infinite Crisis.
Oh, okay.
Because she's a confusing character.
But I do feel like you just need to have a little bit of a sense of where some of these characters come from. But then there's so many of them that I don't totally know how you would do that. But it does sort of feel like you're left out if you're not already familiar with some of these people. It's hard to keep track of them all. Ultimately, you're not supposed to with everybody. I mean, Power Girl's going to matter, but later.
Yeah, and nobody else really matters. Although,
but I just feel like it loses itself a little bit, where it's like, well, we don't need that exposition because this is already cemented in a world, but like we didn't build that world, so.
Is it you that I've talked to about the Captain Atom thing?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's this thing I've observed. If Captain Atom shows up in a story, he will explode.
Oh, you know what? You have
His
said
suit will be
that.
containment breached, and he will explode.
We go a little far with the emoting in some places in this movie.
Yeah. They all have the same chins. All the men have the same chins.
I mean, we had the same thing with the DCAU too. It wasn't
but
that
very,
shit.
They're very ticky chins.
Yes, that's true. Basically, if you don't have that chin, you can't be a superhero. Just don't even bother getting a costume.
And they go with Luthor. Or she goes with Luthor.
The animated series did that too.
Okay.
I think.
But it's also weird because she says Luthor on Smallville. Like that means that was a distinct choice.
Yeah. But if that's what they always had done with it, yeah. But, like, nobody says Luthor in Smallville.
Yeah.
So, like, that was also a distinct choice in that show.
Luthor just seems like the only, when I hear Luthor, I think of Otis. Like, he's the one character that's like, Mr. Luthor! Everyone else in that movie calls him Lex Luthor.
What I like about it, and I don't mind the inconsistency because...
We have that with real names.
Yeah. What I like about it is when you hear Luther, you think Martin Luther or Martin Luther King, and it's not the same name.
Sure.
So I've actually kind of always appreciated the distinction in the pronunciation.
Okay. I just know him as Lex Luthor, and so when I hear Luthor, I think of Otis, because that's the one character that sticks out in my brain that's pronouncing it that way.
So we talk a lot about how sometimes Batman during the day is weird, but Batman during the day in Superman stories I like because he's out of his element, and he's kind of forced to live in Superman's world. And with Superman being first in the title, I guess I kind of appreciate that with this, even though I know that just came from a comic book. But this is a Superman story.
Batman's kind of along for the ride. I feel like that was a problem I had with the story. Is that, like, Batman kind of doesn't need to be here, maybe? It's been long since I
didn't have that
this.
because there is kind of an argument between them.
That's a good question. I can ask that about a lot of these characters. I feel like that's a thing that we just did with a bunch of characters.
It makes sense that he's here, though, because of the whole, like, loyalty to country thing. And loyalty is a big theme and question in this movie.
Well, and Captain Atom, I guess, is the other side of that. He's the good, loyal to the country kind of guy. He's also a soldier.
And I really like that we're dealing with that, the distinction between being loyal to your country and to the people, as opposed to being loyal to the guy running it, no matter what he's about. That
the leader and the country are not the same, are not one and the same. Oh, it's Major Force that explodes this time. It's not Captain Atom. I didn't know they were the exact same character. Way to go, Captain Atom. You survived one of these. Well, we'll see. I don't think that's how electricity works. I think you can just make a ball around explosive force. Oh, he's going to stop him, and he's also going to explode. His suit's not going to get breached, but he is going to explode.
Was Black Lightning ever in Justice League?
I don't know.
Or was this the first time he was ever animated? He might have been in Super Friends. I can't remember that
He's
either.
not. They have Black Vulcan.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't know if they also had him somewhere.
No, he is the stand-in for...
Oh, really? Okay.
For some reason, there were certain characters they couldn't use or something, and so there's a couple of characters that are stand-ins for other characters. Yeah,
it's weird, because he's like a D-list character.
Yeah.
He's going to get a TV show.
I read one issue of his comic when I was a kid, and he was yelling at the screen about something about Superman.
I think I own one issue of his comic.
He shows
it's
up.
Probably not the one you had, though.
He shows up in an issue of Judd Winnick's Green Arrow, or an arc of Judd Winnick's Green Arrow, and I liked him a lot.
Oh, cool.
He's a character I think I like, but haven't read enough of to really be sure. Yep, there. See, he exploded.
That's hilarious.
Always explodes. He's one issue. He's one episode of Justice League Unlimited. He explodes.
How does his costume stay intact if he just exploded?
Well, he like drew in all that energy, and then like he exploded. I'm not sure.
Because he must have gotten out of his costume first.
Because he's like pure energy. Like, he's like a pure energy being that's contained in that suit. At least that's how I understand from Justice League Unlimited.
There's something about the design, and I like it. I think it looks great, but there's something about the design of Power Girl's face that almost doesn't fit the rest of this aesthetically. I can't put my finger on it, but she almost looks like she belongs in a different movie's aesthetic.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was a meteor coming.
Oh yeah.
Which
we better go take care of that.
These missiles are not going to stop, right? Or it's going to make it worse. It's going to make like a meteor shower.
Yeah, it seems like it would just disperse it, where it would go to a bunch of different places on the planet instead of just causing Smallville to happen again.
But if they're small enough, maybe it wouldn't be a big deal. Why didn't they launch?
Maybe this is a backdoor pilot for a Crypto Freaks TV show. Yeah.
Oh, there's a wormhole. Is that how it got? That's weird. Oh, it's going through the. It's gonna go into a wormhole. That's then
and then take care of the. Yeah, why is that like pseudo CG looking?
That's weird.
We're. That's kind of a good idea if you had a way to open a wormhole, though. Where like you know it's coming and you take care of it like way away from the planet. I mean, I guess that's a good idea. But yeah, I remember now. There's this whole thing with this where he's like. See, aren't you glad I'm president because I'm the only person that would think of this?
Mm.
And then, like, he has a little bit of a point where he is so much of a genius that if you put him in charge, like you have kind of this question of, is it worth the ways in which he, like, changes the foundation of what America is and what we stand for, and maybe, like, taking away basic freedoms and stuff if he can protect those?
Every time I see something like that,
whereas Superman wants to protect us while keeping all that intact.
Every time I see something like that in a movie or TV show, I always want to like know a mathematician. Be like, does that make sense, or is it just chicken scratch? Like, is that anything, or is it really simple? They want me to think it's real smart, but I bet you. I
always assume a lot of those are just totally made up and aren't even a real math problem because of all the times that someone in fiction is doing math and says carry the 4, and it's clearly not a problem where you would carry anything. We do that all the time. Now, sometimes we do that just for a joke, but...
Yeah.
I kind of wish somehow we could deal a little bit more with the public opinion in this movie. It's like they're public enemies, but they're kind of off on their own the whole movie, and they're not really...
Yeah, it's in a barren world where only these characters exist.
I mean, you wouldn't want a big scene where, like, the police are firing at Superman or anything, but...
Hawkman?
And then there's Hawkman. Yeah, it seems like this is just sort of like a who's who of C-list characters in the DC Universe.
Oh, I remember they do something cool with Captain Marvel.
I don't know if I complain about this in the rewind, but I feel like a lot of these extra random characters are really distracting. Where I just keep forgetting what the context is, because it feels like it's just an excuse for cool fights. So like I said earlier, it's cool that they can integrate that, where there's just like some fun, dumb action in the middle of a movie that's also kind of thoughtful, and you can put those together. But these scenes are going on too long.
There's too much of them.
It feels like a video game, right? Like it's just, it feels like
it's how you play the video game.
Yeah, it feels like you have to have the story excuse to get to these things.
That being said, I think a kid would enjoy this a lot.
Yeah, and so far it seemed kind of kid friendly enough to me.
Yeah.
Like, the Waller Lex kiss, again, is really weird, but I wouldn't, like, keep it away from a kid because of that.
Mm-hmm.
See, Eric, you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around, and that's what it's all about.
What does it mean?
It doesn't mean anything. We're referencing a Babylon 5 episode right now. Don't mind us.
Does not mean a thing.
A thing.
He's got a missile.
Oh, that's cool. You got a missile on your arm. Okay, so you said earlier that other thing was the most Geoff Loeb thing. No, that.
Batman with a missile?
Yeah, that's pretty Geoff Loeb.
Oh my God, Superman! You murdered a child. Why would I black out? I can also fly. In fact, it's my thing. I should probably be able to fly better than you can.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be like a lead up to something where you had a plan. No, he's just going to fly him like up into space and be like, you're going to black out.
But why would he black out any more than Superman? I guess space. I don't know.
He couldn't go that far up into the atmosphere.
I don't have a real strong opinion on this because I'm not like a Captain Marvel guy. But I don't like using Shazam as a weapon.
Yeah.
That seems like it's cheating and weird. I know he gets struck by lightning, but that always feels like it's more
just like an aesthetic
symbolic
choice
than anything. Yeah,
actual physical, literal thing that's happening.
Yeah, which I also have with the Flash's lightning when he runs. Is like there's not literally lightning; it's an aesthetic choice.
I don't have an opinion about that. I get why you're complaining about it, but
there's something where like I think it's
that angle's weird. Why are we doing that?
I think it's Kingdom Come.
Just show her feet. Like why is it up over? But we don't have her head. That's a really weird angle. I don't like that.
But I think it's in Kingdom Come where he just keeps saying Shazam and lightning just keeps hitting, and I'm like, that feels like that's cheating. That feels like that's not how that should work.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this whole injecting kryptonite thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is how
it's the excuse for why he goes crazy.
They give you an excuse for him to go nuts. Yeah.
I don't buy that him in his like conscious mind would do that. Like when he in his right mind would be doing that. Like it's the excuse for why he goes crazy. But I think he would have to be a little crazy to do it in the first place.
Yeah, unless he just doesn't understand the properties of kryptonite enough.
Who understands the properties of kryptonite more than Lex Luthor?
Well, remember, he has to have the ring on his finger for a really long time before he realizes it's going to give him cancer.
That's true. But I feel like he would have learned after that.
Well, right, but
we're about a decade
how
past
do you know
that.
this Lex ever had that ring? This exists in a world that we've not seen before.
Okay, well then that's a fair complaint for the comic.
Yeah, but this is not in the comic.
That's true. That's true.
So if this is their really exaggerated version of the kryptonite ring, I kind of buy that.
Why did he do it? I don't understand.
Because he's a crazy person, and you didn't get any sense anywhere earlier that he had any interest in her romantically. Like, I don't know why he did that, unless it was just like, I just showed you my deepest, darkest, crazy secret, and I own you.
Yeah, this is fun.
And then that makes that way creepier.
It's Superman the whole time.
Yeah, I remember that. I knew there was some kind of...
And you can buy that action figure.
You can buy that action figure?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
They made a line for this comic series. And it's I
didn't know you could buy that, though.
And
you
can buy the Superman wearing Captain Marvel's costume with the shirt ripped.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah. Also, this thing works really well. I'm just going to keep it. It's mace. I'm just going to keep hitting people with maces. I'll be Mace Man.
Yeah, I knew I knew there was some kind of what was I trying to say? A thing where they're wearing other people's costumes, but I couldn't remember what exactly it was. And I was confusing it with a thing, and we'll get to this later, in the Lego Batman movie based on the Lego Batman 2 video game, where Batman and Superman are each in each other's costumes.
Little does Batman know that in his hand he holds a weapon made out of an element that will open a portal to another dimension where there is nothing but evil hymns. If only you could see the future.
That was the mistaken identity thing.
I think it's fun to have Superman dress up as Captain Marvel. The Hawkman thing is less
cool.
Yeah,
because it doesn't really mean anything.
Well,
yeah,
there it
see,
is.
I didn't need that.
That's the one. Yeah, I knew there was one.
Yeah, when he just calls it the B word for no reason.
Yeah,
yeah. Didn't need that. Why is that kind of pseudo CG looking? We'll only do it in a couple places, and I'm not even totally confident that it is computer animation. It just kind of sort of looks like it.
No, that's computer animation.
Right?
I'm almost convinced of it. Look, hallways are hard to animate.
Are they? Like traffic?
Yeah. Well, I can actually buy traffic being hard to animate in some.
No, I just mean that in these things we always like to do traffic and computer animation.
Yeah. I think this was also the big, because Jeff Loeb's kind of instrumental in the pushback against the John Byrne era. He's the one that redefines Krypton and all of that. I think this is the first time we have him in this suit.
Yeah, we felt a little funky about his Superman.
Since the reboot with John Byrne, I think this is the first time Lex Luthor puts that suit on.
Huh.
So I think that was also part of why the series was kind of a big deal. Was it's like, oh, we're going back to the Silver Agey stuff.
It is a little convenient, maybe more than a little convenient, that he's, like, because he's been injecting himself for a while, that he's just now, like, losing his mind to the point where he's going to lose the presidency, just kind of so that we can wrap this up and Batman and Superman can be in, like, good graces with the people again at the end. I think that's a little easy. Because, like, it would be cooler if it was something they did, like, Batman and Superman had to do proactively to reveal.
Well, from what I understand, if you were reading the Superman comics in the lead up to this, it seems like it's going to be Superman realizing he can't stop him as Superman. He has to bring him down with the journalism of Clark Kent.
Which is what it should have been.
Which is what it should have been.
And I'm with you. You can't do that in one movie.
No.
No.
But
that's what it should have been in the comics.
That joke is so weird. I don't want to think about the implications of that line. He's not really much of a boy, he's 13. I don't like that. That's weird. That's icky.
Regardless of that, it's just a weird line.
Yeah.
Like, this is why would you say that? Like, to any adult I've ever known, a 13-year-old is a boy. I just don't even understand that line.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we see this character. Which is a thing that I hate when I find out about comics that I've read. Because so often you'll read comics and, like, there's a weird status quo you're not familiar with, but it's like, okay, well, like, the Riddler looks like this because of these other stories before it, and it all makes sense. I hate it when I find out, oh no, this story just did this.
Yeah.
There was nothing before this.
This guy feels like we've suddenly done a weird crossover with some TV show I've never seen.
So,
and
years ago?
He's kind of just a Deus Ex Machina, really.
Yeah, I feel like he's more built up in the comic, but I might be wrong.
I would have tried to find some way to integrate him in the story earlier so they could, like, pay him off and then they go get this. Like, the more I'm looking at this again, it is weird that this is the story with all the, social and political implications we were talking about earlier. That this is the story where we just kind of degenerate into kids playing with action figures. Where it's just the novelty of cool stuff. But then at the same time, you understand why this would be fun to animate. And why you could sell it.
You're right, it's her eyes. Her eyes are way too big.
They just don't belong in this movie. Overall, though, let me reiterate, I really like the look of this. I think it's great.
Yeah, me too.
Other Toyman, how do you deal with this kid and not at some point bring up there's a horrible killer guy also named Toyman? Like,
yeah, why would you go by this name?
His mouth did not remotely match up with what he was saying.
Also, I don't.
He did like 4 syllables when the voice was saying sunshine.
Also, I don't buy. Well, I guess he's got kryptonite. I was gonna say I don't buy Lex Luthor. He's gonna beat up Power Girl that fast and that easy. But
yeah, but he's like super buff now. He's probably got super strength.
Yeah.
And whatever his mech suit can do.
Yeah, it's got the kryptonite. I don't know. Power Girl's just as strong as Superman, or at least as strong as Supergirl, who I think is as strong as Superman.
That's fair, but like, does kryptonite affect her?
I'm actually not sure because she's from a parallel Earth. So I think hers might be mixed up, but I might be wrong.
And it seems like we're doing that thing where
I want that to be the end of the line.
I can't think of a warning. This is affecting my
so
mind,
crazy,
but I'm very excited about it.
I can remember evenings and afternoons, but I cannot think of a morning.
Of a morning, ever. It's gonna be the name of my next album. Because I know evil. What a weird line. I don't know.
That was really poorly animated. Like, it was just a still frame, and then we moved the camera.
But yeah, the thing about the kryptonite, even if she is susceptible to it, that I don't buy is Superman's not reacting like he's being exposed to kryptonite until he shoots beams at him. Mm-hmm. Which we do a lot with these kinds of suits, which I end up overthinking it and asking questions like, is the suit made of lead? Mm-hmm. If there's kryptonite beneath it, if it's made of anything but lead, and why would you line it with lead?
So that you could like lead him on until you release the kryptonite?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just want him to feel the kryptonite?
But, I mean, we play fast and loose with the whole lead kryptonite thing all the time, because we have that thing like in World's Finest, where apparently you can diffuse it just by putting it in a glass of water.
Isn't there an episode of Smallville where someone just has it in their pocket, and Clark does not react until they pull it out of their pocket?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that happens. I think it's
usually we do it with a box, with a lead box, but I think there are points where we don't do that.
Or the
but like the amount you need to affect him and how much and all of that.
Or like the Bug Kid when he goes to the place they used to
he's
play,
not consistent
and it's
at
just
all.
full of kryptonite, but he doesn't notice until he sees it.
Yeah. And he should be dead before he walks in there.
Yeah.
Especially because he's incapacitated and can't get off a piece of wood because he's got a piece of kryptonite dangling, a tiny piece dangling around his neck.
Yeah.
And you could argue as the series progresses, maybe he gets less weak to it, but right now we're talking about the pilot and the next episode. Yeah, so like that kid just doesn't even belong in this world, right? Like,
yeah.
We have crossed over with some show I've never seen.
Yeah, it's like Jack Chan Adventures, like Kim Possible, something like that. That kid looks like he would fit right at home in Kim Possible.
I think one of the things that's awkward about this movie is that I find myself wanting more of the drama. Again, I did praise it for some of the action stuff, but as far as like with Lex as the president, I just find myself wanting more of the drama to be in that setting where like, you know, you'd like him to show the world he's not like in front of a podium or something before this happens. You could still end it with a big drag out knockdown fight.
This feels like, and
we do that in that Lego Batman movie. Not the Lego Batman movie, but the one based on that video game. It does do President Lex, and it does it better than this in some ways, and that'll be kind of fun to talk about.
This feels like, and I feel like you could say it's about a lot of Jeff Loeb stories, where like, I think the reason it gets so popular and people know it outside of comics and that kind of thing, because I do think this was kind of at that place for a little bit.
It was, yeah.
Is because it's big dumb fun that feels like it's smart or smarter than it is.
Right.
And so you
feel a little smarter watching it until you really think about it.
Yeah, and people pick it up and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Like it hits the cool button and it's like, oh, this is so
Those
cool.
Are like comic book stuff.
But it's stimulating my mind too.
Well, and this stuff did come out in a period where it was still easy to kind of say, you know, we don't deal with these heavy issues in comics, which I mean we did, but it's kind of all we do now, and
Yeah, maybe that's the thing of Geoff Loeb, is that it's the...
I don't even think comics really have the reputation they used to of just being, like, dumb fun and totally action-driven.
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't think so at all.
I think people think about comics as a place where we do a lot of, social commentary and satire and stuff now.
I think maybe Geoff Loeb comics have worked as, like, a gateway, where it's like, oh, these are smart and sophisticated, and then when you get into it, you're like, well, those weren't actually that smart and sophisticated, but it got me here.
Yeah. That's fair. Maybe they're useful for that. I don't know.
You guys wear socks?
But that doesn't mean they age well, right? That's kind of the problem. Yeah. Although, can I just say, like, with the issues I have with it, of course, we've been totally talking over it, but I have been enjoying this.
No, it's fun. And maybe that's really just the big difference between the comic, is, like, in the comic, I feel like I have to slog through because it's 6 issues and I have to read it. Like, I can just kind of sit back and enjoy this. It's fun.
That's not Eric saying he doesn't like to read. He's just not compelled by.
I'm not enjoying the story, so I'm having. Whereas here, it's fine.
Yeah,
like it's fun. I'm also not constantly thinking about continuity.
Yeah, which doesn't matter with this, which is nice. And even when you get an apocalypse, it doesn't really matter because you just have this other thing and they're totally disconnected. Or maybe it was Apocalypse where I made that stupid comment about Batman not being idealist. I can't even remember where I said that. But it was in one of these.
Okay, I don't remember how Batman gets out of this, but whatever it is, I'm not going to buy it.
I remember this being weird, but I can't remember what it was now.
Is this the ending of Rises before Rises?
And then, like, we have a funeral for him, and then he's just, like, sitting
well, see,
in a
if you go back and look at the
France.
scene very specifically, we don't actually see anything outside of the window, so it's not saying...
That's true. I don't remember if this actually explains how he got out of that or not.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't need to, right? Like, it's a giant Batman-Superman role. Like, whatever.
Impeached? Is that what he says? Impeached? Yeah.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works.
There's a judicial system. There's a very long process you have to go through. There's some voting that needs to happen.
By people in positions that you don't hold. You have no seat in any branch of Congress.
Yeah. What's really unfortunate about
due process, Superman, I feel like you're kind of, I don't know, like about that, I think. I think that's like a thing.
What's really unfortunate about the reality of this world is that even though he said that dramatically, we still have a couple of weeks of Lex Luthor as president while the hearings are being held and things like that.
I'm not actually complaining about that line.
No.
I think that's a fine thing for Superman to say.
It's Lethal Weapon 2,
Consider
it's just been
yourself
revoked.
Impeached. Yeah. Oh, he had a Batwing.
Sure.
So wait, did he, like, eject himself into the wormhole? Is that what happened?
We haven't mentioned the wormhole again, I don't think.
No, we saw it.
Oh, did we? Okay. I don't know, he, like, ejected himself away? I don't know. Because it's on the front of the thing. Like, he was flying at, like, I guess you could eject out and back.
I do think it's fun to have a Batwing that has the Superman symbol on the bottom of it.
Also,
that would be a cool toy. I'd buy that.
Minor nitpick. So
oh, can I complain about something? Yeah. I'm sorry, real quick. Don't do the comic book logo if you're not going to put it in the logo on the box or like in the movie anywhere. I think that's weird. Because the Superman symbol on the bottom with the Batwing around it, that's the logo for that comic series. Mm. It's weird we're not using it in the movie then. If we're gonna put it in here anyway.
But that is how it looked like in the book. So
no, I know, but then use it.
Yeah. So all right.
And also, I love that symbol. It's just like use it.
It's like a Batwing, right? And it's got the cockpit here. But in the suit, it would be like this, and that's not how the cockpit was sitting, which means it has to be like this and go like this. Like, I don't think this makes sense.
God bless me. Okay. I like how he's still super ripped. Yeah, wouldn't it have been? Wouldn't it have been kind of interesting if we had a courtroom drama? Well, maybe not, because they didn't do anything.
Oh, Lois Lane. I feel like you could have.
See, she has the same eyes everyone else has in this, even though she's female. Although I just thought of this theory. I like the idea that she has totally different looking eyes because she's from another dimension. In that dimension, the animation is different. Anyway, I'm sorry, what was it?
I don't remember something about Superman. Oh, the trial of Superman. Like I feel like Superman would get off just by, like, character witnesses, right? Like, everyone would show up and be like, "No, Superman's good."
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that could be dangerous.
It's kind of weird being Geoff Loeb that he doesn't play that for a mystery.
Yeah,
like what really happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the comics did with it.
There is a comic.
Black Lightning was LeVar Burton. I didn't know that. I mean, he got like
cool.
3 lines of dialogue. That's pretty cool. That is really short.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it could use like 10 more minutes because it's kind of more interested in the action than it is in the conundrum.
Yeah, it could use 10 more minutes if it's all character and plot stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know John C. McGinley was Metallo. I like him. He's in a bunch of stuff. You would know him if you saw him.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I'm thinking of everything I know him from, and I don't think you've seen any of it, so maybe not.
Oh, all right.
Unless
but not
Office Space.
But not. But years ago. I mean, I have seen that movie, but.
So there is a comic.
It got difficult to live in this country without seeing that movie for a while, because like there was this period where everybody and his dog quoted that, and I felt like I couldn't speak the language without having seen that movie.
It's a really good movie.
So I did finally break down and watch it. I mean, I liked it. Okay, I just got sick of people quoting it.
It is part of 1999's giant middle finger to working cubicles.
Right.
Along with The Matrix and Fight Club. But
just combine those 3 movies, and that would be amazing.
No, but there is a comic called Black Summer, written by Warren Ellis, which is a speculative fiction piece about
cool. I love those.
What if the president goes too far and betrays the country, and what people think of as the values of the country,
yeah,
and a superhero just kills him.
Yeah,
and that's the opening of the book. Is the Superman of that world just murders the president because he thought that he was doing not the right thing.
Wow.
And then the entire book is about the exploration of that idea. So there is something that kind of deals with that.
Yeah, like, it's kind of a shame that idea is not dealt with in a more serious thing without a big giant mech robot, and...
It's so unfortunate it's the conclusion to the President Lex story.
Yeah.
It really feels like, and we're done with this now.
Especially because that had been going on for quite a while, and...
It's like 2-3 years, I think.
And it was just a big status quo thing. Also, am I to assume that whatever the fighting was at the beginning of this was supposed to be, like, their stand-in for Lex solving No Man's Land? Is that what that was?
I guess so. Also, not to just keep complaining about the comic, but...
Because you know that's the main reason he gets elected.
Yeah. But it's totally bull, right? That if you're reading all the Superman books, you're then told if you want to see how what you've been reading for 2-3 years finishes up, you have to then go read this new book we just put out.
Yeah.
It's not an event, it's just a new ongoing, and if you want to see the conclusion, you gotta go read it.
Yeah. No, I know, I don't like that either. It should have been in the main Superman title. Yeah. So anyway, that is Public Enemies. Thanks a lot for watching along with us. And tomorrow, we're going to be doing a lot of people's favorite of these. In fact, I've not met a lot of people for whom that's not their favorite, even to this day, Under the Red Hood. Although I guess Dark Knight Returns is maybe a contender now.
I adore Dark Knight Returns. But yeah, I'm not sure which one. Like, it's weird for me to say Dark Knight Returns because I love Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Like, it almost feels like cheating.
But like,
and even though Under the Red Hood is based on a
you would have
comic,
been so much more critical of that than a lot of other things, so it's a testament to it that you like it so much.
That's
because
true.
That's not one of those things where you were blinded by it. Like, they could have easily ruined that for you.
That's true. That's true.
So I mean, it is that good, but and I've only seen that once. But yeah, Under the Red Hood is of course fascinating because it's based on material that's not great, and then Judd Winnick comes in and like improves on his own material, which I always thought was really cool.
And I've heard people say that they really like the comic. I have not read that in probably a decade and a half.
I haven't read it in a long time either.
Well, maybe close to a decade. Yeah, probably like a decade.
And I think also
eventually
part of the reason that movie is so impressive is because bringing back that character, of course, is not something a lot of us ever wanted, and you wouldn't think that you could integrate those two stories where you have his death in flashback, and then you make a whole movie about him coming back.
I feel like you kind of have the Jason Todd discussion.
Just amazing that it even works, you know, at all. And they made this wonderfully compelling movie, and it's beautifully animated. Anyway, I'm very excited to get to watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll do that for you tomorrow, and in the meantime, thanks again for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll be back for more Batmania very shortly. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you folks.